Well, hey there.
Howdy.
Thanks for joining us for live stream reviews. We have lots of streams to review this time.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to get through as many as we can. These streams are from all over the world, and I just love that because we get to get cultured today. We review live streams every month, and everybody's always asking us, how do we get our live stream reviewed? Well, it's really easy. You become an all-access subscriber, and you can do that using the link in the description. And also down there in the description, you'll find a link to our mixing cheat sheet, which you can get for free. So be sure to go grab that before you sign off today. And for those who are joining us live, drop in the comments, where are you tuning in from? We are in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. A couple of Okies sitting here in front of you today. Also, if you have tips along the way, drop them in the comments because we're all here to help each other get better. We just ask that you be constructive in your feedback and never put anybody down because that's not helpful.
I'm curious to know if anybody else is getting this awesome February weather. Very unusual for us, but it's been like 50s and 60s during the day, every day almost.
It's been wonderful.
It's been awesome. It is cold in the morning, but...
And speaking of, we actually had, so we went from 60 degrees to snow. It snowed yesterday morning, and it lasted for all of 30 minutes before it melted away because it got up into the 50s.
Welcome to Oklahoma.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Are you ready, Dylan?
Yes, sir.
We better jump into these. Coming up first is from David, and this is from First Baptist Church. He's having problems giving depth to his vocals and wondering also if he needs to add a little more reverb to blend the vocals better. So let's take a listen, and we can help him out with those two things.
Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night divine.
All right, so just to address the issues that you talked about, depth to your vocals, I think it's perfect. They sound clean, and they have plenty of depth to them. So I think your EQ is spot on, so great job on that. Now, as far as reverb on the vocals, I would add a little bit more reverb because I didn't really notice that it was there much, so I would bring that up just a little bit. Obviously, you don't want it to be distracting, so don't bring it up too much. Something else, I think what you're looking for when it comes to adding depth to your mix is you need more bass guitar. I saw him, but I did not hear him. So bring your instruments up a little bit to fill in the depth, and that'll make your sound more complete.
Yeah, I was having trouble with the feed from your computer there.
Is it working now?
Let's look. No.
You want me to unplug it, try?
Yeah, try unplugging it for me. For some reason, our camera feed is choppy too, so sorry about that. Don't know what the deal is. It's not showing that I'm having any drop frames or anything, so that's very strange. Got people from all over: Ghana, Wyoming, Virginia, Bulgaria.
Very nice. Great to have you guys. All right, I reset that, Dylan. See if it's working now.
It is for now.
All right.
Well, just kidding. Well, you can at least see it. It's just being a little weird. In terms of visuals, I think it looks pretty good. I don't notice any white balance issues. I noticed that we got some blown out areas, but I think that's just a limitation of your camera from what it looks like. Your exposure looks pretty good to me. I think your dynamic range just isn't what it needs to be. That's okay. Sometimes you can't get what you need out of your camera in terms of dynamic range. You might be able to drop the exposure a little bit just so that her skin right there is not blown out. You can see it's blown out on her forehead. Wait to see if there's another shot come up. I'd recommend putting something behind your lyrics so that they're a little easier to read. Got some camera shake going on that close-up of that gal. I mean, I'm probably just stating the obvious for you, but let's see. I need to start thinking through some solutions for camera shake. It's hard to know without being there to see like what it's mounted on. Probably using a tripod, if you can, would solve that. Usually a tripod will mitigate shake, even if the floor is a little shaky. That's challenging. Let me know in Slack what you've tried, what you think the problem might be. Maybe we can figure out how to fix that camera shake. That's frustrating, I can imagine.
All righty.
That's it.
Thanks for sending that in. Let's get on with the next one here, which we have from Leslie with ReviveNow Church. It says she has a hollowness in microphones and looping sound and USB connection to Mac for music and video. All right, let's take a listen so we can help you solve those things.
Thank you, Jesus, for the blood applied. Thank you, Jesus, it has washed me white. Thank you, Jesus, you have saved my life.
Yeah, definitely something really strange going on. I'm trying to diagnose what it is. I think that maybe if you're using vocal tuning, we're hearing the tuned vocal and the raw vocal side by side could be the issue. If you're not tuning your vocals, then that's obviously not the issue. You could have some kind of strange effect on your vocals that's making it sound like that, like maybe a chorusy effect. If you're using anything other than reverb on vocals as far as effects go, I would not do that. You can take that effect away.
We are ransomed by your Father's
It almost sounds like a phaser is going on too. I can hear that in the background. So I just think you have some weird effects going on. So I'd go through and see, like, do you have an effect plugged into your live stream mix itself? Do you have an effect plugged into that vocal? Something, if are you using something other than reverb in your effects, whether it be a phaser or a chorus plugin or something like that. If you are to disable all of that extra stuff, and your sound is going to be much better.
I like the visuals. I like how she has a nice backlight with the color lighting and it's not hitting her face at all. So good job with that. Her skin does look a little bit orangey yellow. So your white balance might be a little too warm and a little too green. So maybe just tweak that a little bit. I can definitely see that there's some green in there because if you look at the white around her, like the Yamaha logo on the piano, it's got a green tint to it. Also some warmth tinting to it. One thing I noticed that kind of stuck out to me when you go to your audience shots, the close-ups on specific people feels a little bit strange to me, like to just single out one person in the congregation. I'd recommend at most, in terms of like how tight those shots get, maybe like 4 or 5 people, and maybe have like a shot of a bigger section of the congregation. Maybe you're trying to just keep it tight to where people are standing. Maybe you've got some spaces within your seating that you're trying not to show. I understand that. I would just recommend not singling in on one person. It just feels a little bit awkward to see one person worshiping. Feels like you're kind of invading their privacy a little bit. Other than that, I think it looks great. I like how you have the different camera angles. You could probably even switch them up more often, I would say. But yeah, just work on fine-tuning that white balance, getting them matched up from camera to camera, and just those few adjustments. You got a good stream going.
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in. I'll be interested to hear what effect or maybe vocal tuning thing is causing that sound issue. Man, once you get that resolved, it's going to sound a lot better. All right, next up, this is from Don from Woodside Church. Just checking our progress on sound balance, specifically adding more bass to the mix. Awesome. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
I come alive, I'm alive when you breathe on me. Awake, awake, awake my soul. God resurrect these bones from death to life for you alone. Awake my soul. Word of God.
Yeah, bass is sounding really good. Good job on that. Maybe a hair loud, but then again, maybe not. So if anything, just bring the bass down a little bit. The thing to work on next is just bring your drum mix up a little bit to match where that bass guitar is. So just a little more kick drum, a little more snare drum to that mix will take the energy to the next level. I love your use of reverb. It's sounding really good. You did a good job with that.
I'm alive when you speak
But really the main area you need to focus in next is filling in those low mids, which I would consider like kind of the warmth of your mix. I'm not hearing a lot going on there. So it's like you have your bass guitars, the foundation, your low frequencies, and you're doing a great job filling up those higher frequencies, but there's a little missing piece in between that. We're talking about between like 200 hertz and 800 hertz, kind of in that range. Usually what you would use to fill in that spot is either the piano or electric guitar. So I would work on those in your mix, bring those up a little bit in your mix to fill in that space and maybe EQ them a little bit so that they don't come in too bright and fight with your vocals, but all they do is fill in the missing spot within your mix. But really you have a great thing going on. That's just something small that you can do to take it to the next level.
Your cameras look good. I just noticed some white balance inconsistencies, so I would just work on matching those up a little bit better, but your exposure from camera to camera looked good. I do notice with this gal we're looking at right now that she does have some overexposed areas of her skin, so maybe just dial that exposure back slightly on that so that there's no like white blown out skin. Let's see. Another camera angle. That's pretty good framing. I like how there's not a ton of headroom. You got both of those ladies in there. Looks good. That's an interesting background. We've seen this church before, haven't we? I feel like I remember that. Very cool. It's like really cool detail, but it's not over detailed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Interesting to look at. So good job with that background.
You're making great progress. Keep it up.
Great job.
Alrighty. Up next this is from Zahir in Praise Temple in Jamaica. Looking for help balancing the mix. He's using a Behringer wing. We're going to be doing that soon.
Yes.
Swap our X32 out for the wing. We've been waiting for the most opportune time, and I think Dylan was finally motivated this last Sunday because he ran out of channels on the X32.
Yeah. Bummer.
All right, here we go. Let's take a listen.
Jesus is your name. Do you love his sweet name? Hallelujah. Jesus is his name. Jesus is his name. Jesus is your name. Mighty warrior. He is so great. Jesus is. Mighty warrior.
You know, I really like it. I think you're doing a great job. I love that mix. And if I heard that, if this was my church I went to and that's what I was listening to, I wouldn't really critique it anyway. I just join in worship. And really, I try to do that anyway whenever I'm actually in worship, which, as you can imagine, would be a hard thing for a guy like me to do. I was like, okay, Cade, this is not a time to critique or like a time to think about what needs to be better.
It's tough.
It is tough. There's only one thing that I would say, you could do to take this mix to the next level. And that's, I thought the reverb on the snare sounded a little strange. I don't think that the decay time is long enough. I can tell you're using a room reverb on that snare, but it kind of just sounded like snare and a repeat of the snare because that reverb was so tight. So I would loosen that up a little bit by increasing the decay time on the snare just to give it a little more decay afterwards, a little more ambience. So try that. See what you think. I also tend to add a little bit of the hall reverb to my snare drum. So I have kind of that long trail going on as well. So you could try that as well.
No, first off, great job matching exposure and white balance from camera to camera. It was pretty spot on. I just make one recommendation, and that's to warm up your white balance a little bit. It's a little cold looking. I think it'd look a little more warm and inviting if you would warm it up. Obviously, we don't want to swing the pendulum too far. We just want to get white close to white. You could even go a little bit warmer if you wanted to, just not too far. So just warm that up a little bit, and I think you'll be impressed with how much, I don't really know another word to use besides warmth that it adds to your shot. So try that out. Let me know how it goes. But great job. I've been to Jamaica before. I wish I'd come visit their church when I was there.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to though.
I love the color matching of like the choir.
Yeah.
Love what y'all are doing. Keep it up. And if we're ever in Jamaica, we're going to come visit.
The show.
All right, next up from Donna, this is Journey Church in Corpus Christi. All things and specific sibilants on one vocal. I'm very new and loving learning so much from these courses. I can use all the help I can get. Constructive criticism is welcome. Awesome. Here we go.
Every wall will watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. With all creation crying, God, we praise you. We praise you. Come on, lift your voice. Let faith be the song that overcomes the rage you see. Let faith be the song that calms the storm inside of me. Let it rise. Let faith arise. We'll see you break down every.
Overall, you have a really great thing going here. Really good job. All the elements are sounding good, especially the drums. You've really dialed those in well. The only thing that I'm missing is the warmth of the mix is missing. Now, if I was listening to this live stream on my phone or maybe on a TV that didn't have a sound bar or something like that, I wouldn't notice that this was missing. I would listen to that and say, wow, that's a great mix. But since I have these headphones on that give me the full frequency spectrum, it's like, man, I'm missing the warmth to this mix. That vocal sounds just a little bit too bright. There's not a lot of warmth to him, which is kind of strange whenever you hear a male voice without any warmth to it, because I'm sure that he has it there naturally. So I would go and figure out, where am I cutting out too much of this warmth out of the mix? It could be maybe you have an EQ on your overall live stream bus and you're cutting somewhere in that 200 to 500 hertz range. And if you're doing that, I would bring that up until the warmth returns. Or maybe you're just cutting too much out of the vocal. Your low cut filter might be set too high. If you're going higher than like 180 hertz, it might be too high. So you could dial that back a little bit to bring that warmth back to the vocal. Maybe you have a low shelving filter on the vocal. Just look within your mix. Where am I cutting in that 200 to 500 hertz range? And start to nudge that back into the mix a little bit so we can get that warmth back to it. Other than that, though, it sounds really, really good. So great job.
Really, the only thing that I'm noticing in terms of visuals is I think your backlighting, that pink lighting we're seeing, I think that could be improved a little bit, but that's a little bit like too much to get into right now on the stream. So if you're interested in making that look even better, message me in Slack and we can work through some solutions for that. But I think it looks good, but I think it can be improved a little bit. That's really the only thing I'm noticing. So good job with your visuals. We can go ahead and move on.
I love it. All right, up next, this is from Sean, Parkview Christian Church. He's just looking to improve his mix overall. Let me pull it up here.
By the way, sorry if we're not answering questions very much. We got a lot of streams to get through today, so probably not as much time in between for questions. I'm keeping an eye out, though.
Here we go.
Summer reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable.
All right, so mainly what I'm hearing is just vocals and acoustic guitar. So we did just talk about just creating a balanced mix. I heard the drums in there, but they were kind of in the background. We need to bring those up to the front of the mix, especially we're talking about the kick and the snare drum. Should be right there kind of married with the lead vocal, driving the sound, especially in a fast song like that. That's where a lot of the energy comes from. And then with that kick drum, you need to match in that bass guitar, which I wasn't hearing the bass guitar at all, although I saw him. So that bass guitar needs to come up a lot in the stream to fill in that low end. I couldn't really hear the piano either, so she needs to come up in the mix as well. Work on creating a more balanced mix where you can actually hear the elements that are on the stage. And with a simple band like this, I'm just kind of wondering if there are any backing tracks to support the mix and fill in some of those synthesizers and things like that that are missing. And I know that song really well, so I know kind of all the elements that are missing within it. If they're not using backing tracks, I'd recommend looking into it. Dylan, I'm going to have you talk about that here in a minute, how that can be set up. But work on the overall balance of your mix. But I do want to commend you on the way the acoustic guitar sounds, because it sounds really good. And a lot of times on these live stream reviews, we hear the acoustic guitar and it doesn't sound good. And we spend a lot of time just helping people dial in the sound of the acoustic. And you got that right. So great job on that. So now just the strategy is bringing all of your elements into a balanced mix. One more thing that you need to do once you get a balanced mix is also bring reverb into this mix. There's no reverb whatsoever in your live stream mix, and that just makes it sound really kind of like dead. Reverb is what brings life to your mix, kind of like breathing life into it. So maybe you're using reverb in your room. You can add that same reverb to your live stream mix. The technical side of that's probably a little bit too much to get into in something like this, but you can always reach out to me in Slack since you're an all access subscriber, and we will walk you through how to get reverb from your mixer into the live stream mix. So Dylan, talk about just a brief overview of how backing tracks works and how simple it can be to add those in.
Okay, while I'm doing that, will you unplug your computer again? So backing tracks, pretty simple. If you have an iPad laying around, it's probably got to be within the last 4 years old to support the latest apps, if I would imagine. I mean, you can just go to the app and see what the earliest iPad that supports it is. Okay, so get you an iPad. You could even use a computer. The most popular apps are Prime by Loop Community and Multitracks.com's Playback app. We use Multitracks. We use the Playback app by Multitracks. I switched to that a few years ago because their backing track options were a lot better. They had like a lot more original tracks. So like the ones you actually would hear on the albums, they had the tracks directly from those, and Loop Community was kind of just like remaking them, and they didn't sound quite as good. But I hear that Loop Community has a much better library of tracks now. So look into both of those apps, choose which one you want. Playback, a little more expensive, but it has more features. Loop Community's cheaper, a little bit more simple. So you do that. Pretty easy to get going. You just go out of the headphone jack into either a stereo DI box or 2 mono DI boxes, and then into your mixer. So that's the easiest way to do it. It's just going to send the click track on one channel and your backing tracks on the other. Or you could make it a little more complicated. You can get an audio interface. That way you can like split off individual instruments to their own channel on your mixer. So you can make it as easy or as difficult as you want, and you can use as many or as little features as you want, but it's pretty easy to get started. The tracks are usually, I think, $35 a piece. So they're pretty affordable. And then you can mix within the iPad. Maybe you just want another electric guitar, mix that in. Maybe, like you said, you want some synthesizers in there to kind of fill in a certain frequency spectrum. You can mix those in. It's pretty easy.
I would highly recommend it really just for any band to have at least the option to add those things in, because especially you have a smaller band here. So there was just elements of the frequency spectrum that were missing that you can't recreate at the mixer. It's not like I can boost this EQ and get something that's not already there. So the backing tracks would solve that problem because you could pull in a synthesizer to fill in the upper frequency spectrum and things like that. Look into it. I think it's worth it.
And it's nice if you, let's say you have one bass guitar player and they have to be gone 1 week. Well, you can just throw the bass guitar in the backing tracks. Less stress on them because they don't feel as bad. They're like, oh, it might not sound as good that week, but at least they'll have a bass guitar, you know? So that's nice.
Did you want to say anything about visuals on this one before we move on?
I was going to say your key lighting could use some improvement. That was the one thing I noticed. I'm just going to try to focus on one thing. Again, that's a little bit too much to get into here. So if you want to improve your key lighting, message me in Slack and we'll work through that. But I think it could be improved.
Very nice. Thanks for sending that in. All right, this next one is from Mandrill, Fullview Baptist. Looking for, let's see, live stream mix fullness. Now, you didn't give me a link. You just gave me the name of your channel, I think. So let me see if I can search for that really quick and find it. The ViewTube 7100. And I'm just going to pull up your most recent live stream. And I think I found it. So, see where the music is here. Here we go.
No one can tear you apart from him. Amen? No one can tear us apart. He'll take your shattered and broken pieces. And he'll give you a brand new start. Amen? Give me a brand new start.
I think we're missing the left channel.
It's there. It's just a lot quieter. I hear a good thing going here. I'm just wondering that we have a configuration issue going on. I hear a lot coming out of my right speaker, but not very much coming out of my left. So somewhere some panning strangeness is going on, which you need to figure out what that is. It kind of sounds like maybe it's the audience mics are too much, and then I'm hearing a lot of the right audience mic, not so much to the left, or I don't know. It's kind of hard to determine without being there and seeing your setup. So I recommend that you reach out to us on Slack so that we can help you, and maybe even schedule a coaching call with us so that we can figure out what's going on there.
Not based on what you are asking for, but just based on how you love him.
That microphone
If
sounds
you
good.
love him, just give him a loving praise.
Like I said,
right
I
now.
hear a good thing going. I just need to bring it back to the center here so I can hear it out of both sides. So let's get that issue figured out. I think that's the main issue going on here. But other than that, you have a great thing going.
Just one thing sticking out to me visually, it looks like there's some kind of filter over your image. I don't know if that's like an issue with the camera or if it's something you're adding after the fact. There's like this warm, faded looking filter on the top of it. That's a little distracting to me. So again, like I said, I don't know what that is without seeing it or asking you. So maybe you like it. That's okay. But if you are not sure what that is either and you're trying to figure it out, just message me in Slack and I'll help you out.
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in. Look forward to hearing from you so we can help you figure out that panning issue.
So I'm going to go. Someone asked what we think about the SQ consoles. We have not used the SQ. We have a QU upstairs in the studio that we're about to make a course for. Don't know that we would recommend a QU. We just know that a lot of people still use them. It's a great, we call it the next step after like using an analog board because it's kind of like an in-between hybrid. Not as many features as most digital boards, a little bit more simple to use, but as far as we understand, the SQ is kind of like the step up from the QU. So we do plan to get our hands on one of those in the future, and then we'll have a better opinion for you.
Awesome. Well, this next one's from Larry from Immanuel Baptist. We've reviewed them several times, and he says he's just looking for ongoing monthly improvement. We did your last suggestions, brought the lead vocal forward more, warmed her up a bit, focused on getting more snare and more kick out front. So let's take a listen to that and see what kind of progress we're making. Making good progress. Getting a nice full mix now. I think the bass guitar might be a little heavy now. So just bring that down just a hair. Kick drum sounds great though. Good job bringing that to the front of the mix. Snare sounds good as well. I would experiment with maybe some different sounds of the snare because since you're using an electronic kit, you could go through and they probably have like 5 choices or so. That one's pretty, what do you call that? Bright. It'd be considered like a tight snare if you tuned it really tight. I tend to prefer one with a looser snare that has a more goo feel to it. So, but maybe you're not like that. Maybe that's how you like it. And that's fine with me. Everybody's different, right?
Our snare is actually tuned high and then really deadened. And that's how we get that thumpy sound.
Oh, well, there you go. I would just kind of like a deeper sound to the snare. I don't need more of it in the mix. I just kind of want a different sound. So you may experiment with that. See if you can find a sound that you like better, or if that's your favorite, continue on with it. Now, I could hear that the lead vocal was sounding warmer and fuller, but she was still kind of buried in the mix when she should have been way out front in the mix. Some of the other vocals were still louder than her. So bring your background vocals down quite a bit, and then bring her up even a little bit more so that the lead vocal is prominently the loudest thing in the mix. Something that I like to tell my students is that if you get the lead vocal right, almost everybody will not notice, the other things wrong with your mix, especially if they're not listening for it, right? They just want to hear the lead vocal and know that they can sing along with it. If you get that right, they'll give you a thumbs up. Most of the congregation will. So work on getting your lead vocal out there in the front of the mix. Now, I noticed your background vocals still sound thin and crispy, so I would do the same thing that you did to your lead vocal on the background vocals to give them some warmth as well. Bring them down in the mix and make them a little warmer, and those are the things that I would focus on before the next time.
I feel like I recommended this last time, but I saw 2 cameras that were tilted. I think they were both tilted to the right, actually. So level out the horizon on those. That was just one thing I noticed off the bat. They haven't come up in a while, or I'd point it out. Like, there you go. There's one that's tilted. You can see it's kind of just like leaning to the right a little bit. So get your horizons leveled on all your cameras. That would be my tip for you this time.
Thanks for continuing this journey with us. You're making great progress. Keep it up.
Whoop, whoop.
We are all a work in progress. There's always something we can do better, huh? We listen to our live stream. We're like, well, we could do that better. All right, next up we have this from Jonathan from Calvary Baptist Church. Just looking at help with overall volume and also lighting. We'll be sure to comment on both of those. Here we go.
Nice.
Well, we're just going to... There we go.
Turn me around, place my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because He healed my heart, changed my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God.
Let's do something real quick. We're gonna look to the person next to you and we're gonna tell them, hey, get out of that grave. Get up, get out of that grave. Amen?
Get out of that grave.
Get up,
All right.
get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave.
I think overall you have a good thing going here. One thing that I did notice is that there's an audio and video sync issue. Did you notice that, Dylan? What they're singing is not aligning with their lips moving. We have a video on how to line that up, don't we?
No.
No, we need to create a video on how to do that.
Might be a good idea.
Reach out to Dylan through Slack, and he'll walk you through some tips for getting everything lined up. I think there might be like an overall EQ on your live stream bus that's messing with this mix a little bit, because it sounds a little bit like I can't think of the word to explain it. Something is being manipulated to where we're not getting the true sound. So I would look at the EQ that you have on your overall live stream bus, and if you have something there, usually you can just level it out. Now, this is assuming that you've EQ'd your room. If you've not done that, I have a video on how to do that. You can find that on our YouTube channel, how to EQ your room, and that is putting EQ on the main mix just to fix the response of the room. And as long as you have that correct, then you're going to be EQing all of your individual channels correctly to where they'll sound both good in the room and in the live stream mix. So if you have not EQ'd your room, that could be what's going on too. Maybe you're like cutting out this certain frequency in every one of your vocal channels because your room is feeding back in that area. Instead of cutting it out of the vocals, you need to cut it out of the main mix so that it only applies to the room and not the live stream mix. So that's what I would look at. Now, this is just me being kind of nitpicky with it. Overall, the mix sounds good. This is just something that you could do to get it to the next level. Now, you said you wanted me to comment on your overall volume level, and it's good. I'm getting plenty of volume from your live stream mix, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. Last thing I want to mention is that we needed some more bass guitar in that mix, so bring it up a little bit, and it'll fill in that low end.
They said they wanted comments on lighting,
Yes.
correct? So your key lighting, it looks really good for the two gals there on the side. It looks like our guy there in the middle with the guitar, it might be in a dead spot with your key lighting. Like it looks to me, you got like two lights and they're hitting the two gals really well, but he's like right in the middle of them and they're not really blending enough because he's just a little bit darker than them. So maybe adjust those lights to where that blend is matching the output of each individual light. That's really tricky. You just got to get up there and experiment. One thing you can do is if you don't have anybody to stand there for you while you're doing that, maybe put some pieces of paper on a mic stand in the spots where they would be standing so you can try to get them all exposed the same by looking at it. And then the next thing I would recommend you invest in is some backlighting because they're kind of blending in with the background. It is nice that you do have lights on the background so that it's not just a black hole back there, but having some backlighting on our vocalists there would help define them from the background. So 2 tips for you.
It'd help them to get up, get up, get up.
That it would.
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in. You're doing great things. All right, up next we have this from Will, Lost Creek Ministries. Our sound is great in the house, but our live stream needs all the help it can get. Well, we will give you all the help that we can. Pulling it up now. Let's find the music portion here. Here we go.
What if?
That's not music.
That's how we sing.
Your money's life-changing. It's a life-changing, grave-shaking, dead-raising power in the room. Heart healing, hell stealing, no ceiling power. So tear up the roof. Life-changing, grave-shaking, dead-raising power in the room. Heart healing, hell stealing, no ceiling power. So tear up the roof. Life-changing, grave-shaking, dead-raising.
All right, the main issue here is it sounds real crispy. There's some kind of EQ situation going on that's not allowing any of the low frequencies to come through on this mix, and that's what's messing it up. It also sounds like there's a boost going on in the super high frequencies, like 8 kilohertz and up, which is making it real shimmery. So I would look at your EQ on your live stream bus or however you're doing that, your overall live stream mix. See what you're doing there. Make sure you're not cutting out lows and boosting highs and all that kind of stuff. You really shouldn't be doing much EQ on your live stream overall mix, assuming that everything else is correct beforehand. But you said it sounds great in the room. So usually when it sounds great in the room, you can also get it sounding great in the live stream without too much work. Let's see. That's what I would look into. Somewhere along the way, you're manipulating those frequencies and you need to bring back the full spectrum into your live stream mix. So take a look. Find out what's going on. Look at all your EQs and see where you're cutting out lows too much and bring them back in.
Yeah. So 2 quick tips. Visuals. Horizon is not level on the camera we're looking at right now. So work on leveling that out. And then our skin tones are purple. So you're going to need to adjust the white balance, warm it up a little bit, and move the tint towards green, away from magenta. It's really easy if someone's wearing white. Like you can see the gal there on the left, she has that white top on. So if someone's wearing white, just make that look white. And that's a really easy way to adjust it without being like, okay, well, these skin tones look natural or do they not? Because I know that if you don't have a trained eye, that's a little bit hard to just go and get perfect skin tones. But white is really easy to know if it's white or not. So there's a tip for you.
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in.
Sweet.
Let's see. Up next we have, this is from Michelle from Hillsboro Church of Christ. Sounds flat and out of balance.
Someone wants to know, can you make a live stream sound like it has room mics even though it has none?
You could add like a room reverb to it.
Yeah.
But then you're still not going to get the sound of like the audience, which is the point of your room mics, is to hear the response of the audience and things like that.
You can get some room mics pretty cheap though.
Yeah. So I would just get some room mics and add those into your mix. Now, the easiest way to do it is you have to place your room mics right below your main speakers so you don't mess with audio delay issues. That's how we do ours, right below the main speakers, pointed towards the audience. Works out great for your musicians who use in-ears as well, because they can mix some of the room into their ears to feel like they're a part of the congregation again.
You can even have some back at the booth that are pointing at the PA, picking up PA in the room, but then you got to, like you said, deal with some delay. That's a little bit more tricky to set up. We do have a video on it, though.
We're talking about like $150. Maybe Dylan can look up the mic that we recommend.
I think it's the Rode M5. I can probably drop a link. Go ahead and pull that up and I'll look for it.
All right, I'm pulling up the next one here. All right, so I think we're mainly dealing with just a balancing issue here. I'm hearing like electric guitar is way out here in the front, the loudest thing in the mix, and then we kind of have our lead vocal, and then I can kind of hear the acoustic guitar, and then the background vocal. And there's a lot of reverb on that electric guitar, so it's just kind of making the whole thing sound a little bit strange. So we just need to work on the balance of the mix. Let me just kind of paint a picture here for you. The foundation of your mix is your bass guitar and your kick drum. So you want to start there, kind of get the volume that you want out of those two things, and then you're going to build on top of that. And on top of that, you're going to have your background instruments and your background vocals, and you're going to mix them in just to a nice blend where you can kind of hear all of them, and they're filling up the full frequency spectrum. You just blend them all together. On top of that, you're going to have your lead instrument. In every song, there's usually one instrument that's just more prominent than the rest of them. It could be the keyboard, it could be the electric guitar, and it usually changes from song to song. So find out what that is for each song, and then mix them just slightly above your blended instruments and vocals. And of course, on the very top is your lead vocal. Your lead vocal should always be the thing that's the most prominent, the most out front. And if you get that one thing right, nobody's really going to notice what's wrong with the rest of your mix. So just work on the balance of your mix there. That's what's going on here. And then once we get the balance correct, then we can kind of go in and fine tune EQ and things like that.
With your key lighting, I noticed that there are some inconsistencies. So if you look here on this shot, the guy on the left is more exposed than the guy on the right. And that was even more prevalent in that previous like straight on shot. So I would recommend taking some time to get up there and even out your key lighting. I also noticed that your people in the back of the stage, your instrumentalists, are about the same brightness as the people on the front. And it makes it hard to focus on, to figure out what to focus on when I'm looking at this shot. Like, am I supposed to be looking at the guitarist in the back? And then that feels a little bit strange to be focusing on them so much. So I would just bring, if you have separate lighting for them and for the people at the front of the stage, just adjust it to where they're a little bit darker, just to add some depth and dimension to your key lighting. And that would be my recommendation for you this go around.
Thanks for sending that in. I did see that somebody asked, how do I get my live stream reviewed? And how you do that is you become an all-access subscriber. There's a link in the description where you can do just that, and then we can include you in the next time we review, which is at least once a month. All right. We have about 15 minutes left. Next up is Alicio from Iglesia Pentecostal, looking to help balancing audio. Pulling it up here on the good old Facebook. Well, I probably should just click that first thing. Don't worry, I can figure out how to use Facebook. All right, here we go. Let's see if I got it in the right spot. Man, there's a lot of energy going on there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the first thing we need to do is fix the overall volume. It's peaking. You're pushing it too hard, so you're redlining somewhere, because I'm hearing a lot of distortion, and I didn't have to turn it up very far to hear it. So just bring your overall volume down, and that should solve that issue. And also just look across your mixer. Where am I hitting red? Make adjustments as needed, because nothing should ever be hitting red. As soon as you're hitting red, you're distorting your sound. In other words, you're destroying your sound. So go find that and fix that issue first. And then also I'd recommend bringing up your bass guitar and your kick drum to fill in the lower end of the mix. I was getting a lot of vocals and a lot of piano. I thought those were mixed great. Now just bring in your other instruments to fill in the rest of the mix.
Visually, one thing I want you to do this week, and that's let's pan the camera down so we're not seeing the ceiling and the ceiling lights. If you want to use those TV screens in the shot for your lyric display, I don't know that that's really the best option, because you can see it's a little hard to read because they are so much brighter than everybody else in the room. Maybe you could reduce the brightness on those TVs. That might help. But you really don't want to drop the exposure anymore, because then our people are going to be dark. So let's pan that down. I would prefer panning it down to the bottom of the TVs, but if you want to leave them in there, that's okay. And then fix your horizon, because it looks a little bit unlevel. So that's my recommendation for this time.
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in. Next up, we have Daniel from Slavic Full Gospel Church. Audio doesn't translate well into our live stream. It seems dry, not level, and muddy. I feel like dialogue isn't soothing. Also, I've noticed that things seem to sound very sibilant to me. All right, we will take a listen and address those things. First, we're going to watch an ad. All right, here we go.
Oh, hail the Lord, oh, hail the King. Oh, and when he moves, and when he moves, and when we pray, we're stood a wall, now stands away, where every promise is amen. And when he moves, make no mistake, the bounds of hell begin to shake. Oh, hail the Lord, oh, hail the King. Hey, oh, let the King of glory enter in. Hey, oh, fall down on your knees and worship Him. Hey, oh, let His praise rise up. Don't hold it in, hold it in, hold it in. Oh, let His praise rise.
Well, I think overall it's a good mix. I think you're being a little hard on yourself, honestly. Whenever it first started playing, I was kind of expecting there to be more challenges in it than that. I was like, well, that's great. Yeah. The main thing that I noticed is that there was too much reverb on something. I think it was the keyboard, because it's like a warm type of reverb, which was kind of muddying up the warm frequency. It was nice to hear the warmth of the mix, because that's something we've been commenting on quite a bit in this stream. But you have plenty of warmth in there. I would just, if you have reverb on your keys, or maybe it was on an electric guitar. I think it was the keys, because I really couldn't hear the electric guitar, which is another thing. You might want to bring that up a little bit. Dial back the reverb on the keys, maybe make the decay time shorter, and that could be happening on her keyboard itself. Maybe you're not even adding that in at the mixer, and if that's the case, just have her adjust that on her keyboard, because you can adjust the amount of reverb there as well. And I think you're going to find out that makes a big difference in just the clarity of your mix. It's kind of funny. Sometimes it's just this one little thing that needs to be tweaked, and then it makes the whole thing make sense.
I love the variety of shots you have. One thing I noticed when we started watching, you had a close-up of the acoustic guitar, and his guitar was rather dirty. So if you want to add some guitar close-ups, maybe provide them with a microfiber cloth to clean those off every week, because I know they do get really fingerprinty. And then I would just recommend that you work on fine-tuning the white balance from camera to camera and the exposure. They really weren't far off, but they could use a little bit more fine-tuning to match. It looks like they might even be different brands of cameras that you're using. I know that can be tricky, but you can get it closer, I think. And then just one thing, kind of an awkward thing to point out, but with one of the close-ups, For a second, it kind of just felt like a close-up of a crotch. So just be careful with the angles that your camera guys are doing. Like the one we're looking at right now, that's good because it's the guitar covering up his body. So just be careful of what side you're on and how the camera is pointing, so that it's not awkward. And I know that wasn't the intention, but it just comes across that way sometimes. So coach your camera guys with that. That's all I got.
Awesome. Great work. Keep moving forward. I'm impressed with that mix, so don't be so hard on yourself. All right. Let's see. Next up, this is from Samuel, Redeeming Love Christian Church. Pulling it up. We'll take a listen. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do.
Even when I don't feel like it, come on. That's it. There's nobody like you, nobody like you. Nobody like you. Hallelujah. Come on, people of God. Come on, just a few more seconds. Begin to praise. Come on. Come on. We declare nobody like you. Nobody like you. So we worship. We adore you. We declare nobody like you. Nobody like you. Say we worship. We adore you. We declare nobody like you. Nobody like you. We worship. We adore you. And we declare.
All right. We are redlining somewhere, which means we are distorting. There's a lot of distortion to the sound. This could be the overall live stream mix, or it could be individual channels. You need to just look at your mixer, all those level meters on there, see what's hitting the red, and then go make adjustments so that nothing is hitting red. That's going to clean up your mix a lot. Also notice that the kick drum is way too loud in this mix. It's just like, way too much. So bring that down quite a bit. It's going to help your overall mix. Those two things are just going to really take your mix to the next level.
Visually, I think skin tones are a little bit too warm, so I would adjust your white balance down a little cooler, so that they're not orange. That's the only thing sticking out to me right now. So do that and then come back and we'll see if there's anything else we can work on.
Yeah, thanks for sending that in.
Great job.
Nobody like you. All right, this is from TJ, First Alliance. Looking for vocal clarity in the mix and overall balance of the band. We're using a mono aux out on our soundboard to mix the string. Oh, buddy. You better not be using mono. You should be using stereo, though. A stereo mix is way better for the live stream. It enables you to pan some things, and it also makes just your reverb and your stereo channels sound a lot better. So I would invest the time and whatever equipment that you need to turn that into a stereo mix. It'll be worth it. But let's take a listen.
Got a great lead vocalist there.
Yeah. I think the bass guitar sounds like it's out of tune, so make sure everybody's tuning their instruments before service starts. And the mono mix thing is just making it sound a little one-dimensional, which is the problem with a mono mix. Because with the stereo mix, you just get the imaging of the left and the right, and you can even have a room mic, one on the left and one on the right, which creates a stereo image. And then also reverb as well, which I'm not hearing any reverb in the mix, and that's something that you need to add. Even if you decide not to go stereo and you keep your mix mono, still add some reverb to this mix to bring it to life. All right, and on that low frequencies, I'm not hearing like the I'm not hearing anything really below 100 hertz. I hear the bass guitar and I hear the kick drum, but there's a depth missing to them. So I would go and figure out what's going on there. Maybe you have a low cut filter on those and it's set too high. If you're putting a low cut filter on your kick drum and bass guitar, you're setting that really low, like 30 hertz. And the only reason you do that is just to clear up any of those frequencies, below 30 hertz that would try to steal energy from your subwoofers. But yeah, if it's any higher than 30 hertz, I would bring that down to 30 or just turn the low cut filter off altogether on your kick drum and your bass guitar. And transition it to a stereo mix. You're going to be surprised at the difference that makes.
Yeah, visually, two things. Your horizon is a little bit off. It's tilting to the left a little bit. And our skin tones are magenta, like the one stream I commented on a little bit ago. So I think that looks like a lighting quality issue with the magenta skin, but I think you can probably adjust it in camera or in your live stream software to get it closer. You're just going to have to adjust that tint. And once you do that, you're probably also going to have to adjust the warmth/coolness. So fine tune that a little bit. I was thinking, somebody asked me for help with fine tuning their white balance in Slack one time, and I literally just had them send me a screenshot, and then I color corrected it myself in Photoshop for them just to give them a visual of what it should look like. That way they could take that and then try to match it. So if anybody wants to do that, you're having trouble, getting things fine tuned, maybe you just don't know what exactly it's supposed to look like, send me a screen grab and I can really quickly just color correct it for you and give you a good baseline to aim for. So that's something I just thought of that you can do.
Very nice. Thanks for sending that in. And sorry if I sounded mean on the stereo thing. I was being playful with that, by the way. But it will make a big difference in your mix. So
yeah, someone said they like the color on the behind the lyrics. I was thinking that too. That color is cool.
Nice. All right, this next one's from Chad, and he's from King's House in McKinney, Texas. He has a dull sounding stream, feedback issues in the house, popping through the speakers, soundboard loses signal sometimes. Man, that's a bummer. We had that happen like one time the other day where it's like everything just muted for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about.
Who knows? All right, here we go. All right, definitely some interesting things going on with just the overall EQ of the mix. And I'm thinking that this is probably because since you mentioned you have feedback issues in the room, you're probably EQing a lot of things to get rid of the feedback. Then that same EQ is being passed on to the live stream, which makes it sound weird on the live stream because we don't have the feedback issues in a live stream environment. So what I would do is EQ your room. And that should help you solve those feedback issues. Now, I have a video on how to do that on YouTube. Go and search that. Now, you need to set aside at least 4 hours on like a Saturday morning to do this because you're not going to get it right the first time you do it. You're going to have to do it again. And it's just going to take you a minute to get the hang of it, but it's worth the effort. Once you get your room EQ'd, then you could go on each individual channel and level out that EQ and just kind of start fresh. And what that'll do is it'll give you a better frequency balance for your live stream mix because you're not cutting out things that don't need to be cut out. So that's what I would do next. Go EQ your room. That's going to solve your feedback issues. And once you level out all those individual channel EQs, it's going to make your live stream mix sound better again or as well. And then once you do that, resubmit your live stream for the next review, and then we could go from there.
I'm going to point out something kind of different this one. And that's the way that people are arranged on the stage and just kind of like their stage presence overall. I just feel a little disconnected from the worship team here because so many of them are, one, sitting down, 2, behind a music stand, and 3, everybody's just kind of like in a single file line, which I know your stage isn't very deep, but I'd like to see more depth in how it's arranged. Like you'll notice a lot of places will put vocalists up front and instruments behind them. And it looks like you might have a struggle with that with the depth of your stage, but I think you could probably make it work if you just added a little more depth with how people are arranged. And then if they're used to sitting down, it's going to be rough to go up to them and be like, hey, I'd like you guys to all stand up now. And maybe you don't even really have the pool to go up there and tell them that. But the sitting down just, I don't know, it kind of disconnects me from it. It makes me think that they're just kind of up there hanging out. And I know that's probably not their intention, but that's just the way it's portrayed. That's just something that I noticed visually that I think could be improved. And it was the first thing I noticed. So if you have any ability to have a say in that, maybe recommend it. What do you think about that?
Agreed. Because they could bring out some of the vocals up here on that front stage, right? Because then they could still move their stuff to get it out of the way for the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I guess unless the worship services are 2 hours long, then I would understand why they want to sit down.
Yeah. Maybe they were kind of trying to have a feel of like a unplugged sort of thing, or maybe they don't normally do that.
It just kind of takes some energy off the stage when everybody's sitting down, I think.
Yeah.
Which, if that's what you're going for, then all power to you. But that's just how I saw it. Spectating.
Yep. I can see that. All right. Let's see. We're kind of out of time, but we have 2 more, so we might as well just go ahead and do them because I don't want them to have to wait a whole month. So this next one is from Ben from New Life Church. This is his latest link here. So we're going to pull it up. It's going to load.
Voluntari pentru vizitatori și pentru echipa sau voluntarii de la bord.
Iisus, lumea tu a Tu răstorni orice înălțime.
Sweet. That's not their problem. Apparently that's mine.
Tu dărâmi orice tăritură. Tu ești
I don't know what the deal is. We have super fast internet here, and it's just not feeling it today, apparently.
It's over it.
Maybe if I back up a little bit. Experience.
Doamne, ce fost iertat, Doamne, prin jertfa Ta, Iisuse. Te laud, Doamne, Tată. Te laud pentru puterea Ta. Nevingător, biruitor, Tu răstorni orice înălțime. Tu dărâmi orice tăritură. Tu ești Cel care porți cu
Let's see if we got some drums later on.
clinti pe cale. Nimic nu mă va clinti pe cale. Nimic nu mă va clinti pe cale. Și înapoi eu nu voi da. Și înapoi eu nu voi da. În urmă-i lumea, înainte crucea. În urmă-i lumea, înainte Iisus. În urmă-i lumea, înainte cerul. Nu-i drum înapoi, nu-i drum înapoi, nu-i drum înapoi.
I think overall you have a good mix going on. There's just a few EQ changes that I would make. I would add some more depth back to that lead vocal. He sounded just a little bit crispy. So look at your low cut filter. Make sure you're not really going any higher than 180 hertz. And then look kind of in that 200 to 500 hertz range. And if you're cutting anywhere in that range, bring it back into the mix a little bit. You don't necessarily have to bring the whole thing back in, but just kind of nudge that up until you get some warmth to his vocal. And same thing for the background vocals. They were sounding a little crispy, a little too just high, too much on the high end. They need some more depth added to them. Let's see. There was one other thing. And then I just lost it. Like my brain's getting tired or something. Oh, the acoustic guitar. Take some warmth out of the acoustic guitar to make room for those vocals once you add the warmth from that. He was just, there's a little bit too much of the mid frequency going on. So I would put a low shelving filter on him at about 900 hertz and then cut at least 3 dB, maybe even up to 6 dB to remove those kind of lower mids out of the acoustic guitar.
Trying to think here. I'm wondering why the drummer's so all alone over there on the left side of the stage.
I'm all alone.
Everybody's like off to the right except for him. I'm guessing that's just the way you have everything arranged there. I didn't really have anything that was super sticking out to me. I mean, the white balance could use a little fine tuning, but it's really not bad. Like, it's not super off in either direction. It's a little bit warm, but it doesn't look bad to me. Can you see if there's another camera angle? Kind of forgot what else we were looking at earlier. Kind of close up there. Ooh, he could use a little bit more headroom. Either zoom out a little bit or just, when you're cutting off legs, you just don't want to cut off at any joints. So don't cut at the ankle or the knee or the hip. Anywhere else on the leg, you can cut the shot. So either on the shin or the hip, not the hips, the thighs. That shot looks good, but it could also use a little more headroom. He's about to exit the frame there. Just a bit. You don't need too much.
Dylan and I have done quite a bit of video work over the years for clients, and something that we are always working with them on is keeping their glasses clean. So I would have some, like, maybe glasses cleaner and spray like a wipe for your pastor and just ask him to clean his glasses before he goes on stage, because as you can see, any smudges or anything like that are really noticeable on camera. And we want to see his eyes. That's the most important thing whenever you're watching somebody speak, is to be able to see their eyes.
I don't have anything else, so.
All right, one more.
Uno más.
From Mark with Osage Hills Christian Church. Live stream audio mixing. We've made great improvements, but we're not there yet. Looking to have a consistent mix. Awesome. Glad to hear you're making progress. Let's see what we can do to take the next step. I love how they have chapters in their sermon footage here.
I put my faith in Jesus. 'Cause He's never let me down. Faithful through generations. So why would He fail now? He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't.
Yeah, you're sounding good, man. Making great progress. Let's see. To take it to the next level, I would bring up the bass guitar some. There's the low and the low mids are a little bit lacking in this mix. It's kind of top heavy as far as frequencies are concerned. So to fix that, bring up the bass guitar and maybe even your instruments like the piano and the electric guitar, bring them up a little bit to fill in those low mids. And also I would add some more reverb to your vocals. I'm not sure that it was there. I didn't really hear it. I mean, it could be there, just very faint in the background. So bring some more reverb into them to bring a little more life to the vocals. Those two things will take you to the next level.
I would like to see more of that background accent lighting instead of just the one, at least like two more, like make it 3 streams of light. I think that'd make it a little more visually interesting. And then I just noticed the framing is a little bit strange. It looks like it's kind of off to the side. Maybe that's your best option for placing a camera. But our vocalist there on the very left, the gal, she's kind of exiting the frame a lot because she's so close to the edge. And then so is our bass guitarist. So maybe you just need to pan your camera over to where we're just seeing the vocalist. Hopefully is that a bass guitar over there on the right, or is that an electric? Can't tell. Bass. Hopefully he wouldn't be upset about that. But they're just, like I said, the two people on the edges are just a little bit too close to the edge. Or you could zoom out a little bit if that's an option too. And then all of our vocalists are kind of standing close together, and that could just be the perspective of the camera that's making it look that way. But if you're going to make them spread apart a little bit more, you're going to have to adjust the zoom of the camera as well. See, now we're zoomed in more and they're even closer to the edge. So I would just work on how they're arranged on the stage and how you're framing them in the shot. Great job, though.
Yeah, great job. Thanks for sending that in. Thank you, everybody, for sending in your live streams. It's been fun. Looking forward to the next time that we get to do this. If you would like your live stream reviewed, make sure you're an all access subscriber. You can do that using the link in the description, and then we will shoot you an email and show you how to submit your live stream. It'll be awesome. Lots of other great benefits to an all access subscriber. You'll find all that out using the link below. And of course, we have a mixing cheat sheet that's free to everybody. That's also down in the description. Use the link to grab a hold of that. And I think that does it for this time.
That does it.
Awesome. Thank you all for hanging in there. Have a great evening, great morning, wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.
Deuces.